Okay, so the movie Rango, on my first watch many years ago, it was pretty weird and made no sense for my 10-year-old mind. But I vaguely remember enjoying it, I think. And after recently rewatching it again, I can confidently say it is still a very weird but definitely unique movie, and there's no doubting that. So, Rango is about a little chameleon with an identity issue. He has a self identity crisis, but when you look a little deeper, Rango is more than that. I'd argue Rango and almost everything about it is strange and otherworldly. Let me explain. But before all that, like and subscribe and let's grow the channel. I really appreciate it. Alright, let's get into this. Rango at the start of the movie has a self-identity issue. He has no clue who he is, but at least he is aware that he is a hero, and that he is. But Rango clearly is not a normal chameleon. Rango can break the fourth wall.
The stage is waiting. The audience thirsts for adventure. Who am I? I could be anyone.
Yes, he is aware he's a hero, but it's a little strange that this little chameleon that fancies himself as an actor has a certain level of awareness that allows him to acknowledge that he is a protagonist in a story and he has an audience. But at first I thought he meant this figuratively, right? But no, this isn't the first time or the last the movie insinuates that something bigger is watching Rango's story, and he knows that. Problem is, he just doesn't know if he really can be a hero. So, his next best option is to pretend to be a hero. Fake it till you make it, I guess. And the world around him simply reacts to these decisions Rango makes. Like when Rango at the start of the movie says something along the lines of, there needs to be a situation that pushes the hero forward into his destiny, right? Something happens and he immediately is free from his confinement. Interesting. So, could it be that reality bends around Rango? Or is it that Rango bends around reality? Not exactly sure what that means, but I think Rango is super hyper dimensional being of some kind, right? So Rango meets this armadillo roadkill who tells him about the spirit of the West. And this armadillo guides Rango into his next move. And that move is walk into the desert, find the town of dirt. Now, while walking through the desert, Rango has a dream. And this dream is prophetic. He is seeing future events. So we see in this dream that Rango technically knew about Rattlesnake Jake, even though it was a dream. He also sees the walking trees that will be relevant later in the movie, right? Rango already saw these things. Another strange aspect of this movie worth mentioning is the town of Dirt. A Wild West frontier town with anthropomorphic desert animals. Okay, you might say, how is that weird? That is literally the premise of this movie, right? But it's an anthropomorphic Wild West town in the human world. I mean, we clearly see humans at the start of the movie. Yet it seems like no human being is aware of this Wild West frontier town of animals in the desert. Yeah, the town of Dirt is clearly otherworldly. I think it's in another dimension. A dimension where anthropomorphic desert animals are still in the Wild West. Okay, now what about this? Rango literally wrote and drew pictures in the air with a burning stick. That's definitely not normal. And immediately after that, they pray to the spirit of the West. And they have a Bible. Interesting. And another thing I noticed that makes me convinced about the fact that Rango takes place in some dimension slightly out of the human world is the fact that the tortoise mayor of the town is actively building large structures in the middle of the desert. Some massive construction work is taking place in the middle of the desert and no one notices this. Then there's the whole water issue and the villainous tortoise mayor controlling the water, but I think it's best to leave this subject for another video some other time. Oh, after that, Rango a little later gets humiliated by Rattlesnake Jake. Oh, and after getting humiliated by Rattlesnake Jake, Rango walks into the desert and walks to the other side of the road. And he actually makes it. And after walking to the other side of the road, Rango meets the spirit of the West. So here's another interesting otherworldly aspect of this movie. These owls, these narrator owls, right? These owls are also capable of breaking the fourth wall. And funny enough, these owls are usually wrong about everything they've been saying concerning Rango throughout the entire movie. So they literally say Rango is going to die at some point, but they were completely off. Oh yeah, these guys are also aware that they're in a movie and they clearly look at us, the audience, right? So they aren't normal either, but I wouldn't say they're at the same level as Rango, but they're definitely some kind of watchers, I think. But generally, as far as information is concerned, they're just wrong, right? They're just bad narrators, okay? So, and at some point they're in jail. I'm not exactly sure what that was all about. And I think it's worth understanding that Rango, this movie, and most of the characters in it are clearly unique and supernatural. The trees walk. These animals are really small and can do construction work without any human beings noticing. And Rango is a strange being with no solid self-identity at first. I mean, I think it's worth mentioning that we don't even really know what this guy's actual name is. When the movie starts, we have no idea what his name is, and the name Rango, he just made it up, right? So, with no solid self-identity at first, Rango though is aware and he can break the fourth wall. Now, I'm sure I missed some other examples of otherworldliness. Mention in the comments below if you can remember any. So, thanks for watching. Until next time.